Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Village Board meeting for Tuesday, February 13th, 2024. We are in order. Roll call is taken. All members are in attendance. We will start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item on the agenda is a presentation regarding the municipal complex roof drainage project. And we have with us tonight is Corey Scheidler from Cedar Corp and possible action to follow. Welcome, sir.
Good evening, everyone. So it has been a while, a few new faces on the board. So I was the architect for your municipal complex, for those that don't know me. A while back, we started getting some questions about piping that was rattling in the apparatus bay. And through investigation, we found that there were some pipe sizes that needed to be corrected. It's related to the roof drains. So what we have up here on the screen, over here and here, is a drawing of your complex showing the roof. So the plans that were completed by, the plumbing plans that were completed by IBC, we have Mike Roller here with us, have the roof drains laid out throughout the roof. Within the blue area, there's kind of a darker spot, and that's where the roof drains are. Within the roof drain system, there's a scupper. It's a secondary roof drain system. So when we started looking at the roof drain pipe size to get that corrected, how would we handle that? So we went out, looked at some different options for the piping size. We weren't concerned about it because we do have the secondary roof drain system. So what occurs is if we get a normal rainfall, the roof drain system keeps up, the primary roof drain system keeps up, and all that water goes down through the piping out to your stormwater pond. If we would get a significant rain or a high intensity rain, what will occur is the water will go down through that primary roof system, through the pipes out to your stormwater pond. If the water does build up and the roof drains can't consume all that water, it goes through the secondary system. All roofs are supposed to have this secondary system. That drain sits about 2 to 4 inches above your primary drain. So at all times, you had ample drainage on your building, no concerns there. What we were trying to figure out is what's the least invasive way to correct this pipe size problem. And mind you, all these plans were submitted to the state, reviewed, approved, it was built. So, we weren't, again, concerned about, what happens to all this water. What we discovered was there's an alternative drain system that we could introduce. I uses smaller pipes and it's more of it's a higher degree of engineering that goes into this system, but it is slightly invasive and we'd have to get into ceilings. Not such a significant invasion into the apparatus bay or even to the squad garage. But what we started to look at is, if you look at that blue area, that's about the area of influence you would have where you might see some ponding before the water gets to that secondary roof drain. So again, not a significant impact to your roof system. Some of the notes I have on here, the boxes that are checked below is as the roof sits right now, the water from a 10-year storm, 24-hour storm event, this is a code requirement actually, may not be stored more than 24 hours. So we meet that requirement to the code. The water's not gonna sit on that roof for more than 24 hours. After you get that high intensity rainfall, the roof water or storm water will go through the primary drain system. There's no impact on the roof warranty. We investigated that. There's no equipment or vents that were impacted. As you can see, that blue area, the impact area, goes back about anywhere from 10 to 14 feet. So it's not a significant impact, and that water's only gonna get to about 2 to 3 inches deep, and then it drains away. And then the roof structure is part of the original design. That's already designed to support ponding water. Just imagine, we have the snowfall events that occur in a typical winter. That snow would be stored up there just like we would have to store a rain event if those roof drains were plugged. I've seen it on some other roofs, older buildings that weren't designed to the current codes. They get leaves or whatever, and them roof drains will plug, and then it'll build up on the roof. We don't have to worry about that with your structure or your roof. If we do this roof drain modification within the apparatus bay, there's no impact again. However, if we were to look into this space, the office space as a police station, those roof drain modifications would require some additional consideration on how we would repair and patch the ceiling. So just something for consideration. And then all the roof water or storm water still goes, even if it would overflow those secondary roof systems or into the secondary roof drain system, it still ends up in the stormwater pond. The thing that really stuck with me is that over the period of time through construction and while you've been occupying the building, I have not heard, and I don't know if anybody's ever witnessed water going through that secondary roof system out the side of the scuppers. So I think that the primary drainage system is working adequately. So with that, we took the modified plans that IBC engineered, sent them out to a contractor. We used the same contractor that constructed your facility and got bids for that work. The bids in the apparatus bay, I got that in my bag over here. Was $32,000. And the work related to the remainder of the building was $276,000. So with that, the decision lies with the board on whether or not you want to complete all the roof drain pipe modifications. Again, the only complaint we've ever heard on this was some rattling going on in the apparatus bay. We added some braces to that piping, and I don't know if you've ever had any noise or issues with that since, Chief?
We haven't had a big rain, but it was during the big rains that we've seen it rattle and you could hear the noise of just shaking all the pipes throughout, so.
So, with that, we haven't heard any other issues within the building unless staff have indication otherwise. So with that, the decision, again, lies with the board on how you want to proceed. And we'll work with the contractors to complete that work. Or if you so choose to look at another option and take the funds, that's at your discretion as well.
Can you just explain the two, so the apparatus bay, can you explain what that, the 32 entails, and then the 276 entails for the other buildings, or the other?
Yeah, so that, Mike, I'll maybe let you talk a little bit about the engineering of this. But basically what we're doing in the apparatus bay is installing an additional drain and additional piping to get that water out. So again, low impact, no impact to the roof. When we start looking at the rest of the system, we're actually decreasing the pipe size and using a different type of drain that is called a siphonic drainage system. Mike can explain the engineering side of that a lot better than me. I'm an architect and that is not my forte. But this is a system that's been engineered. We did submit the plans to the state and the system is approved. The theory of this is that a full pipe or a smaller pipe will run full and it actually pulls that water through the drain system and through the pipes to the stormwater pond. And there are contractors that have had a lot of success with this. We see it used in a lot of other jurisdictions outside of Wisconsin. I don't think it's really caught on in Wisconsin, but it's a proven system. It's an engineered system and works quite well. The reason we went to that, too, I should back up, is going to a smaller pipe is less invasive within your current spaces that are finished. So we wanted to look at that system rather than going to a larger diameter pipe.
Thank you. Brian and Jen, you want to kind of go over some options as to what dig into it a little bit further and maybe give us, from an engineer standpoint, our own engineer standpoint, what your recommendation would be?
Sure. So this, we talked with staff and with the two chiefs and the administrator on this. So this has been going on for probably a year. So this is an insurance claim, you know, of finding this, I would say error, you know, with it. Like Corey said, this has been approved in that. How it all started was with the rattling of the apparatus bay. So then they started looking at the sizing of the pipe. To go into the 276, so what they're offering is that we can take the money and put that in a fund, or we can do both projects. So to entail the other project would actually be going up in the ceiling in everybody's office and relaying that pipe, and also going out in the parking lot and tying into the new storm system, because we have to do different piping to get there. Or enlarge the piping that's out there. So we're ripping up the asphalt outside and going up into the ceiling areas, which we have spent money on, if you remember that, to soundproof everybody's office. And so my recommendation would be we haven't had a problem, and we have probably went through every, I think, more than a 25-year storm. Since we've been in this, and the only pipes that have been rattling has been the apparatus bay, and we haven't heard the rest of them. So, and I think I would let the two chiefs and the administrator then put in. So my recommendation would be to do the apparatus bay, but then take receive the 276, put that in another fund for anything else that happens to the building, or if it does happen, then you have the money to actually redo the piping if you need to be.
Jen?
In terms of just assessing weighing the pros and cons of each option, the way that I reviewed this, and especially with the inclusion of Ryan, Aaron, and Brian, was we could have all of the work done and ensure that there will never be any sort of symptom either continuing that we know about or emerging later. So that's sort of you're guaranteed it won't occur in the future. We could take some of the work and proceed because we know there are some symptoms, but we really don't ever know if a secondary series of symptoms will emerge. And that is within buildings A, B, C, D, also summarized with about the 276 sum. And then you can also receive all of that money and see if there's any sort of other than sound problem that arises into what we refer to as building E, the apparatus bay. And that's your sort of full spectrum of considerations today. After we discussed, both Brian, Aaron, Ryan, and I, we have complete comfortability in either all of the work going on or just the apparatus bay E. I don't think any of us have really any level of concern as to whether or not A, B, C, and D will have issues in the immediate future. So collectively, we recommend what Brian has asserted already, but if there's any more facets as to why we came to that conclusion, I yield back to our team too.
Either chief?
The only thing I seen was that, you know, the rattling of that pipe was actually pulling the drain away from the roof, which I worry about that leaking in the future. So, we don't have big rains all the time, but when it does, you do hear it rattle. So I haven't heard it lately. Obviously, it's snow and we haven't had big rain. However, it was happening. So
If it's the rain event that I remember, I did look that up, and I don't have the year of storm or the record of what that rain event was, but I believe it was above 100-year flood. Or rain event, I should say, 100-year rain event. It was a pretty significant rain event. I think you received maybe upwards of 6 inches at that time, or that rainfall, Brian? I don't know if you recall.
No, but I believe it's at least a 25. I don't know if it got to 100, but yes, we remember the doors were leaking. We went through a lot of rainstorms. Or I mean, we challenged, which was really cool, to challenge the building in the first 2 years to see if it was going to survive, and it has. So, And we've made adjustments, you know, through Cedar Corp and Koenig.
One other thing too, just something to consider. So oftentimes when we design large buildings like this with a 1/4 inch per foot slope on the roof, you will see all that roof water come out through the scuppers. It's not required to use internal roof drains. The reason we use internal roof drains is to try to keep that water within the building and then go directly to the stormwater pond rather than going across the site or going into stormwater piping or draining to stormwater piping. It's just a way to keep the site, to have less water on the site and less chances for icing.
What is the warranty on the roof the way it is right now?
I believe this project had a 20-year warranty on the roof, and this was a Carlisle system.
Okay. With putting these siphonic drains or whatever in the apparatus bay roof, with digging into the roof, does that, now I know it doesn't affect the warranty, but does that, you know, digging around in the roof, does that open up more possibilities for leaks and things like that?
No, not the way the roof drains clamp and how that works. Koenig would have a roofing contractor work with them on installing those roof drains and the sumps that go along with that.
Chief, did you have anything?
So I just wanted to add that I was obviously very concerned when we first heard about this issue, but after reviewing Corey's documentation and talking with Brian at length several times about it, and talking to my staff about things that we've experienced, we don't have any concerns in the police department side. And so I would support what Jen said as far as moving forward with this. The only request I would have is if it's possible to restrict this money, if it's withheld to be used for projects at this building, because it is a very expensive building to operate. And I think in the future, we're gonna have expensive needs. So, thank you.
Board?
I had a question on the apparatus bay fix. Would that require cutting into the asphalt to tie in the piping, or is that just more over on the other parts of the building where you were discussing?
Sure, that would just be within the apparatus bay.
Okay.
I think that we should get the whole thing fixed. This was a brand new building a couple of years ago, and, you know, it should be right if that's the fact. And I worry about this money, this 276, if that's the total, or if it's whatever it is, 308, if that's, my numbers are right, wherever you guys right now, and we're talking, that goes into a fund, like the chief here just says, and all of a sudden we start, money comes from that fund and goes somewhere else to fix something else. And the roof does fail at some point, the drains do fail. Now we're on the hook for that, where now we can get it fixed by the company who's gonna be paying for it, and it's gonna be right. That's the problem I have, because if this money goes into a fund, and what happens if the roof goes later on and then the cost is 50,000 more? We gotta pay for that, the village does. I prefer to have the building fixed right and have it right. And I'm assuming, Corey, that the work that's done inside the building, whether it's in their offices, wherever it is, that's all gonna be fixed with this agreement, if work is done by the contractors who are doing the work, correct? That can be part of this cost. We're not responsible for fixing the ceilings and stuff like that, and the asphalt and that's gonna be all covered, right?
Correct, that is covered within the bid that the contractor gave us. Just bear in mind that this is not gonna, there's no wear components in the drain or the roof. And when, in any rain event, when the rain does subside, it's gonna drain. The roof drain system that you have is gonna work like normal, like any other roof drain system, so there's no wear, there's no wear or premature issues with your roof. It's just a matter of volume and then how often that water might get to the secondary scupper. So I don't think it's gonna impact the longevity or any other components of the roof or the building.
If this was your house roof, what would you do?
If this was my building, I would not make the changes.
Randy?
I just want to clarify, so the work that you're talking about being done in the apparatus bay, that would fix the rattling on the pipes, is that correct?
Correct. And I just want to add some commentary to my answer if this were my house. The reason I look at it from that standpoint is I think you have a sufficient amount of drainage through the primary and secondary systems. And this is only going to affect you in larger storm events. And the impact is just, you know, a small amount of water that's going to pond for a short period of time until that rain intensity is reduced, and then the secondary or the primary drains can keep up. And then the other part of this is, you know, since you've been in this building, I have not heard of an instance where water's come out of the overflow scuppers. So I think that the drainage system, the primary drains are working quite well.
Tim?
If you were to design a building for another municipality like this one today, what would you do as far as the roof drains?
It's a good question. I would use the same system that we've designed for your building. And the difference is, you know, going from, I don't know exactly, Mike, but, you know, for instance, it might be, instead of going to a 5-inch pipe, it might be a 6-inch pipe. So that's where the difference is.
Yeah,
Anybody else?
yeah, I mean, the only thing I would add is, I mean, I get Brian's concerns, but, you know, I would be just in favor of the apparatus bay, knowing that we've had known issues there. The fix there would require just work within the apparatus bay, because obviously with other parts of the building, once you cut into the asphalt, you know, you reduce the life of the parking lot. They're not gonna repave the entire parking lot, they're just gonna repave right where they replace the pipes, and you might be opening yourself up to unintended consequences with that work, especially when there's no, I mean, certainly a planned deficiency, but no known defects in the operation at this point. And we can hold the money in reserve if we would ever need it for that purpose, or, as mentioned, another purpose within the building.
Tracy?
I was just gonna say too, that I agree with just doing the apparatus bay. I trust, you know, Brian's recommendations too. And, you know, they've had multiple discussions about it, and why do it all if it is working just fine, and bank that money for when, you know, like Ryan said, if additional things are needed in this building alone. And that shouldn't be an issue to keep it in a separate fund just for this building.
If there wasn't a secondary drainage system, I would probably be more concerned. And I remember that storm, it rained a lot and very fast. I think we even had calls that I remember coming down here and the rain was coming through the doors. So, from that standpoint, if we didn't have a secondary system, I would say let's fix it completely now. But with that secondary system in place, I think we would be okay with just doing the apparatus bay, and then keeping the rest of the funds in some sort of an account. And I don't know, Jen, if you have any ideas as to how we would earmark that or restrict that, or how that would go, or if that's not a decision that needs to be made tonight.
I would piecemeal the decision tonight, focus on the work itself and whether you want it completed. We can manage policy surrounding the funds at a later date. I would recommend in a high interest rate environment that we go ahead and invest those funds so that we can, one, safeguard them. They're out of sight and they're not accessible. And two, it gives us time to strategically decide if we roll that into a capital plan funding mechanism, or if we simply just state it on the treasurer's report every month. Here's the carrying balance, here's the description of what the account is, and we all monitor it in that fashion.
I guess the one thing I just want to make clear to everybody in the room is that if we decide to put that money aside into a restricted fund, I don't want those funds being used for just regular maintenance items that should be budgeted. You know, if it gets to a point where, you know, we need to replace a boiler or something like that, if those funds are still available, that might even be a little bit of stretch, because you should be saving for that over the term of that longevity of that boiler. But I don't want it to be used as just a regular maintenance fund, slush fund. We still need to budget for repairs and normal maintenance over the long term. Tim?
Does this in any way affect how the state views how we handle our budget as far as going high or going low, as far as what they let us get in shared funds from the state?
Is your question about levy limits, Tim, or maybe about additional shared revenues?
Shared revenues.
Okay, to my knowledge, this is not impacting that matter, no.
Any other questions of Corey or staff or anybody? Yes, sir.
I guess the old adage, the old saying is if the wheel isn't broken, why fix it? The system is working. Like Don said, the worker out in the truck bays is one thing because you're not all enclosed. But when you get a new building, you can go up into these areas and yes, it's going to be nice, but it's never as nice as it originally was. Even the parking lots, never as nice as it really was. You're going to get cracks and everything else. And the scuffer system is the backup. And I've been around many years. The scuffer system was the only system that you had. And it's basically maintenance free. It's not mechanical. The water runs off the roof through the scuffer system. So I just feel that if we're going to do anything at all, just do the bays.
Any other questions, comments? Otherwise, we'd be looking for a motion.
Make a motion to recommend we proceed with the apparatus bay repair not to exceed $32,865 and hold the rest in reserve and direct staff to invest/restrict as needed.
Second?
We have a motion by Olson, second by Wells. Any further discussion? All in favor by saying aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
And just to follow up to the board's decision with that, Cedar Corporation will work with IBC and then with the village staff to get this work scheduled and completed, and then we'll provide a report back on the completion of that, so. And if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer them, so. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Item number 4 on the agenda are village citizens to comment on an agenda item. Anybody sign in? Okay, thank you. Item number 5 on the agenda is the consent agenda. There are 4 items on the consent agenda. Would be looking for a motion for those items.
I'll make a motion to approve the items as listed on the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion by Wells, second by Kripke. Any further discussion? All in favor by saying aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 6, review of requested 2024 DPW projects from Washington County Shared Revenue Program. Mr. Kober.
Thank you. So in the packet, I believe you saw the memo and stuff, and it gave, you can, Mr. President, you can add in, because you're on the committee. And so this all started with, the shared, it's a shared revenue when the people voted and said, hey, we want the tax dollars, and this is the county's response. And so I have my opinions. I'll hold that to myself, being a taxpayer of, Washington County. But anyway, in the summary, if you look at it, there was a proposal for you to do line painting. So we have 20,000, sorry, we have $20,832 that they have allocated to us. So if you look at a couple scenarios that we did was line painting, which we usually do with the county. It's 15.4 miles of center line, and then edge painting, we do roughly 8.1 miles. if you ran through the numbers, it actually, costs us more money to run through this program than just by contracting with the county. So I don't know, I was gonna talk to the highway commissioner about that. But anyway, so in the long and short of it, to get up to the 20,000, I added, the asphalt patching of 24 by 30. As you can see in the spreadsheet, it doesn't give me, or it doesn't give us a thickness of the asphalt patching, so that'll be a little discussion on that, but that got us to the $20,550. Over, to keep this short, and then I guess what I'm asking the board is, depending on what your opinion is first on, going in, but if you would want to direct staff or myself to negotiate out. One thing about this is that we do have items budgeted, and we're still gonna follow through on them. It's just that we wouldn't hire a private contractor to do the work. We would actually solicit the county to do the patching and that. So we do have the money there to do that. We've just allocated it a different way. The other thing is, or if this goes sideways, we can always pull out of the project. So the one thing, we need to submit this by Thursday, the 15th. They want to know. If you look in the presentation that I gave to you, it's kind of interesting with it, because it says that you need to prioritize your projects. And then it sounds like that the county's going to review them back in this September to see what projects that they were able to accomplish or not, and then what's going to roll to the 2025 budget, right?
Yeah, in September, they're gonna review which projects were done, and at that point, they will set the dollar amount for 2025 that would be available for this same program.
Okay, that's what that is.
Yep.
It was a little confusing
Yep.
because it sounded like that if they didn't get them done, if they were gonna still do them yet, or?
Yeah.
Okay. So hopefully that we'd be able to, the line painting and everything would be done by that time, so. But yes, if you want, if you do give the direction, we would apply for it and then see how it all unfolds and what we can do with line painting and the patching, so. There's other things we're gonna negotiate out with the town for, with mowing of ditches and that's also a category in this. So, that we can, right now, we're getting that for free, working with the town on that. So they're passing anyway, say like on Sherman Road, so why not mow it, so.
Any questions of the board on this item?
Brian, do we ever own our own equipment to paint the lines in the past or anything?
Yes, we do own equipment, but I mean, we do short lines. This is, when we hire the county, they do Glenbrook Drive, Jackson Drive, the long stretches where they actually go with a truck and spray the line. We used to do it, but then, I mean, you hit a rock and that they're all over. So I know, John, that was what, 15 years ago, or you were still on the Board of Public Works, and so we, at that time, we decided to go with the county to paint them.
I had one question. I noticed that they have the ability, or one of the things on the list is you can rent a plow truck. Is that like if you have one break down, or what was that intended to be like if you had a snow event like the last one? Is it possible to have them come in and on a rental basis to do some of the plowing for you if you need it?
You mean the county, or? Yeah, that's.
There was something discussed or something in there about, being able to use their equipment, I do believe, yeah.
Because it looked like everything on their price list was higher than we can do it for
I mean,
kind of like going to Kohl's. It's on sale because they marked it up.
right, for labor and some, yes.
But keep in mind, that the labor would be no charge to us up to that allowance. So we'd just be paying for supplies.
Correct. It's all, so the one in if you look at the spreadsheet, the red column is the material costs, and then they're throwing in the labor
Right.
and equipment.
So we don't really need a formal motion. You're just looking for for feedback from us, right?
Sure, if you want to, but I still apply, and we
Yeah.
can, yes, unless you're gonna totally object to this. And if I don't hear any objections, we'll submit it and we'll see how the dice might fall, and if we can get it a cheaper way by contracting them like we did last year, we're gonna go that route. If it's cheaper to do in this, you gotta remember the spreadsheet was all estimates, so hopefully it's a little lower. And I wanna haven't had time to actually sit down privately and talk to the highway commissioner and ask him why are the material prices that much higher than last year.
I mean, I guess my thought is we can use it as a tool if it works out to use that program, fine. But if we can get it done by a private contractor or whatever on our own, then so be it. Just pick the better of the two options. So unless anybody has any disagreement with that, that's the way I would look at proceeding with it.
Will you be reviewing this, the group that got together to put the program together, will it be reviewed next year as far as how it worked out for everybody?
Yep. Yep, that's what that September meeting comes in at.
Okay.
Yep. Anybody else have any input? All right, good to go. Thank you. Item number 7, licenses. Looking for a motion to approve the Coffeyville license.
I'll make a motion to approve the annual entertainment license for Coffeyville Company at M168W20101 Main Street.
Second.
We have a motion by Emmerich, second by Engelhardt. Any further discussion? All in favor by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Now for the lengthiest part of our agenda for the evening. The items coming from Budget and Finance Committee. So item number 8A is the change order number 1 for the Jackson Wastewater Treatment Facility Storage Garage for Hunsinger Construction. And that was a deduct in the amount of $51,677. That came from Board of Public Works and the Budget and Finance Committee with a recommendation to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve change order number 1, Jackson Wastewater Treatment Facility Storage Garage, Huntington Construction.
Second.
We have a motion by Wells, second by Emmerich. Any further discussion? All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 8B, change order number 2, Jackson Wastewater Treatment Facility Storage Garage for Hunsinger Construction. And that was a small add of $684 for a nightlight. Looking for a motion on that.
Make a motion to approve change order number 2 for the Jackson Wastewater Treatment Facility Storage Garage by Hunsinger Construction.
Second.
Motion by Olson, second by Kripke. Any further discussion? All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 8C, change order number 3, Jackson Wastewater Treatment Facility Storage Garage for Hunsinger Construction. And that was another deduct of $1,200. Looking for a motion for change order number 3.
Make a motion to approve change order number 3 at the Jackson Wastewater Treatment Facility Storage Garage by Hunsinger Construction.
I'll second.
Motion by Olson, second by Emmerich. Any further discussion? All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 8D, pay request number 3, Jackson Wastewater Treatment Facility Storage Garage for Hunsinger Construction in the amount of $227,905.83. This did come from Board of Public Works and Budget and Finance with recommendation to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve pay request number 3, Jackson Wastewater Treatment Facility Storage Garage, Huntington Construction, in the amount of $227,905.83.
I'll
Second.
We have a motion by Wells, second by Kripke. Any further discussion? All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 8E, Pay request number 4, Jackson Wastewater Treatment Facility Storage Garage for Hunsinger Construction in the amount of $142,692.68. Again, once again, coming from Board of Public Works and Budget and Finance with recommendation to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve pay request number 4, Jackson Water Waste Treatment Facility Storage Garage Hunter Construction in the amount of $142,692.68.
I'll second.
Motion by Wells, second by Olson. Any further discussion? All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 8F, pay request number 3, State Highway 60 Street Lighting Project for Will Surge in the amount of $125,124.79. Once again, coming from Board of Public Works and Budget and Finance with recommendation to approve.
Make a motion to approve pay request number 3 for the State Highway 60 street lighting project for Will Surge in the amount of $125,124.79.
Second.
Motion by Olson, second by Wells. Any further discussion? All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. 8G, review of bids for the 2024 Jackson Wastewater Treatment Plant Improvement Project in the amount of $4,715,248. This did come from Board of Public Works and Budget and Finance with recommendations to approve. And the contractor for that was J.H. Hossinger. Looking for a motion on that item.
I'll make a motion to approve the bid for the 2024 Jackson Wastewater Treatment Plant Improvement Project in the amount of $4,715,248 for J.H. Hunsinger.
Second.
Motion by Wells, second by Kripke. Any further discussion? All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 8H, review of bids for the Eagle Drive and State Highway 60 intersection improvement project in the amount of $294,459.02. And this was for Vinton Construction. And it did come from Board of Public Works and Budget and Finance with recommendations to approve. I will make a motion to approve the bid for the Eagle Drive State Highway 60 intersection improvement project in the amount of $294,459.02 to Vinton Construction.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Heckendorf, second by Olson. Any further discussion on this item? All in favor by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 8I, Jackson Dog Park feasibility and design proposal not to exceed $11,750. This did come from Park and Rec Committee as well as Budget and Finance with recommendations to approve the bid not to exceed $11,750 and award it to MSA.
I'll make a motion to approve the Jackson Dog Park feasibility and design proposal not to exceed $11,750 for MSA.
We have a motion by Wells, second by Kripke. Any further discussion on this item?
I wanted to ask a question. Kelly, sorry again. So the options for where it might be, is this study going to also kind of figure that out on options? I know they talked about one at Cedar Ridge and then the other, there was some other proposals for possibly other options around the village somewhere?
That's a great question. So ideally, we would like to see if Cedar Run Park is feasible, and there's issues with that, dealing with wetlands, things like that. So we need to see, and that's kind of where the feasibility comes into play. If that would be a site that would work, it's a 26-acre park that's incredibly underutilized and could work well if everything plays nice, especially from a DNR standpoint. If it doesn't, yes, this will take us to also looking at other sites within the village, if there are any, or what other directions we could go. So this will prepare us for a, potential plan B or C if we need to do that.
So a follow-up kind of to that, Brian, is the work that's being done, the analysis that's being done on Cedar Run Park, is that, I mean, how long is that going to take? Is this going to kind of dovetail into that, or are we gonna have a long wait, Bill, until till the analysis is done on that work?
No, that's what dovetail both of them. And that's that was great about the two proposals for the dog park. One was Site Pacific was gonna be, Cedar Run, which is by Hardwood, or, right? The other company, we'll just call it. And then MSA said that they would do a blanket look at the whole village of where a possibility of another dog park could go. Or, and that's one thing about the surveys, and then there might be other things that we find with the study that MSA will search, through it. But going back, yes, the plan is we have the DNR looking at our report that I believe we looked at it at the last Board of Public Works meeting. So we're finalizing that, and then that'll be shared with MSA to help them decide if this is the site to do it, because we have all the mapping now for that area, so.
On what Randy said with this feasibility study, are they gonna look at Cedar Run over here? And then are they gonna look at other sites too and give us all to us at one time? Like the whole thing and each site they're looking at, and give us pros and cons for each site? Or are they looking at this site first, gonna give us that, if that doesn't work, then they're gonna come do other things, or we get everything at one time?
You're gonna get everything at one time. We're gonna work through first, like Cedar Run may not be feasible. So then we would just move on to the next Plan A and Plan B. So we'll work through all that and bring it to the board in one package for you to decide what you think is best.
Yeah, I mean, just to kind of reiterate the other points too, I mean, I'm not a fan of the Cedar Run location. I like the dog park concept, because I know you obviously did some survey work on it. It was identified by the community as a park need for people. But I just, being right next to the wastewater treatment facility and kind of their expansion zone. And then, yeah, I mean, if you look at mappings of it, it's in the floodplain, it's a registered wetland per the DNR. So, you're gonna have a wetter site that's gonna, certain times of the year might not be usable at all for the purpose. To put money into that park where it's not highly utilized now, but there's not a lot of expense. And then two, I look at somewhat a little bit with the accessibility of the area, one for parking, the shoulder's a little narrow, the ditch lines are closer to the
Definitely
road.
concerned with that site.
There's no sidewalks going to it from any direction, so people walking their dogs would have to walk on the street or on the shoulder, not on a sidewalk, whereas most of the village has sidewalks, so. I mean, I was talking with Casey about it earlier, I know it's a smaller site, but right over here, the old lacrosse field, the village mows it all summer long and nobody uses it at all, so, but yeah, I like the concept, I just don't like the Cedar Run, but I'm happy that the feasibility references Cedar Run, but it's looking at, because yeah, I know that it was the preferred location in there, but they are open to looking at other sites for this.
Yeah, nothing is set in stone, and Cedar Run certainly has pros and many cons too, so
Right.
it's gonna be trying to weigh all that.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? What is the time frame for them to have the study done, do you know?
I believe in the timetable, like by late spring.
Oh,
It's not
okay.
gonna take very long. This
Okay.
isn't a really intensive.
Right.
It's a pretty low key, as you can tell by the cost of the proposals. Yeah,
Okay,
it's gonna turn around pretty quick now.
perfect. All right, if nothing else, all in favor by saying aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 9 on the agenda, West Bend School District Report.
West Bend School District will be holding their community conversation feedback event. There's 2 events to kind of talk about what's been happening and the current what's currently happening at the facilities, enrollment, stuff like that. Those two meetings will be Thursday, the 22nd at 6 PM and Tuesday, the 27th at 6 PM. Both are at West Bend East Cafeteria. And then following those community meetings in April will be another round of community meetings about potential solutions. So those ones will be Tuesday, April 16th and Thursday, April 25th at 6 PM in the West Bend West Cafeteria.
East or west?
The first group of meetings in February here is in East
Okay.
Cafeteria and then in April in West Cafeteria.
Gotcha. Thank you. Item number 10 is the Washington County Board Report. I did receive an email from Supervisor Schwab. They do meet tomorrow night, I believe it is. So acting on several items, not much of the action will affect us here in the village. Looks like ordinance number 11 is up for discussion regarding the language in the county code affecting license and permit fees. Resolution 64 authorizes the transfer of funds to streamline the use of $2 million in ARPA funds that the county has. These had been previously allocated for use in an emergency medical services and fire grant program. Resolution 65 would authorize the use of unspent funds in the county's capital improvement plan to relocate and reassign office space in the government center to create efficiencies. And then they are also still working on the negotiations for the sale of the Samaritan home. And that is about it for the county board report. Greater Jackson Business Alliance.
Not a lot since the last board meeting that we had. The one thing of note is that Debbie Zeinert has been made or decided to be the president of the organization now. So moving forward under Debbie's direction, and that we'll see where we go.
Thank you. Item number 12, Mid-Moraine Municipal Report.
So I had given more of a lengthy update at the end of last month, but the legislative committee meeting is tomorrow here at 7 PM. The discussion will be on the importance of workforce housing, and it will be led by our very own Jen Keller with a special guest of Deborah Sealski from the Washington County Community Development Director.
Thank you. And with that, the next item on the agenda is closed session. So I would make a motion to go into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statutes 19.851E, deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business wherever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. The closed session is for the following purposes: to discuss development agreements, a protective covenant and shared access and maintenance agreement for property publicly owned in TID 7, and to approve the sale of property publicly owned in TID 7, and to discuss the purchase of land to include the village board, village administrator, and the Parks and Recreation Director. Looking for a second.
Second.
We have a motion by Heckendorf, second by Wells to go into closed session. Looking for a roll call vote, please.
President Heckendorf.
Aye.
Trustee Wells.
Aye.
Trustee Olson.
Aye.
Trustee Krupke.
Aye.
Trustee Matter.
Aye.
Trustee Engelhardt. Trustee Emmerich. The motion carries.
Thank you. And we are in closed session.